Space is a lovely place to be. Hello everybody. Today is an eventful day. Today we are going to return Jeb back to Kerbal and send him on to an ultimate voyage to one and only place, Duna. Stuff that. So, because we always want Jeb to be the first to land in cool places. So what I'm going to do is going to do a retro burn to get us into a deorbit, and then I will show you something that I've been working on for weeks. I'll be right back. Yeah, I think I'll start the retro burn right here. So I've got a lot of things to talk about today. One of them being 0,18. Slight warning for those, spoilers. Just, for the rest of the episode there may or may not be any spoilers, just so you know. A little bit more. Angle's too steep. I'll burn a little bit that way. Sorry, radial. Apologies for my excessive use of Meg Jeb. I'm just too lazy to do it myself. One of the things that they're adding to 0,18 is the that new orbital planning system. It makes things a lot easier. Basically, it's like what MakeJeb does. It just gives you kind of the instructions or the plot that you need to perform in order to achieve that goal. So basically, you're setting goals. It tells you what you need to do, how much delta V you need, all of that. And they say it's a work in progress, but I really hope that it's in the next update. I really do. Like I said, I really apologize for using MakeJeb. Personally, I don't think it's bad. It's only bad if you don't know what you're doing and you're taking advantage of its automating things just because you don't know what to do. But I already know what to do. I'm just really lazy, and I just really don't feel like doing the same maneuvers over and over again. But like I said, as soon as if that new orbital assist, I guess you can call it, or planning system comes out, I'm definitely going to use that instead of MakeJeb. What they're also planning to add, I saw in their live stream, they're adding solar panels. They're also adding the ionic engine and probes, probes, I hope different kinds of probes, and communications. Did I already mention solar panels? Yep, I'm really excited about those. My most exciting thing really is the probes, and you'll see why later. And of course docking. Docking is very exciting, but not as exciting for me personally as probes. Also a whole bunch of other things, possible new planets, but I'm not going to really say much other than what helps me get from A to B a bit easier, without cheating, of course. There we go. Um, I might think about landing on the moon while we transfer to Duna, the Mars analog, but I don't see what's the use. Everyone knows how to do that, and by now I'm pretty sure. Not very exciting to do that anymore. It's really easy to do. Cool, and I'm pretty sure we know what happens from this point on. So I will see you in the VAB. Hello and back once again. Prepare yourself for my biggest achievement in this game. Here we go. The IPPA DLA V18A. Yes, I've had 18 different versions of this craft. And it's got two segments to it, and I'll explain now as soon as I load it. Here it is. It's actually very simple, and it surprised me how long it was going to take to actually figure out. Yeah, this is, for me, the minimum that is required to get to Duna. It's as efficient as I can get it. The delta V just reaches borderline. So the IPPA stands for Interplanetary Achiever Assembly. Basically, it's from this decoupler down. Okay, and DLA stands for Duna Lander Assembly, which is this point upward. Version 18 is the version of this lander, and then A. In case I make some sort of adjustments, but still the same, it'll be V18B, for example. I try to make it as light as possible, as fuel efficient as possible, and tried to make it as cost efficient as possible too. Still pretty damn expensive though. But I figured simplicity definitely overruled any kind of overkill, so this is it. Time for a big mission. Let us launch. I want to do this before version 18, just because in version 18 it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to get from A to B from anywhere basically, and I want to at least put it some sort of videographic evidence that proves that I can get from Kerbal to Duna with the craft I have before it's broken. So yeah. Now for the process, thankfully Mars isn't too far away, so I don't really think we have to. And yes, I'm going to be quick saving a lot. Hopefully we don't have to use that feature, that load last quick save. Lately I've become really involved with Kerbal Space Program, watching live streams, joining the forums. It's excellent. This craft design I tried to improve by showing it to a few friends who are really good in physics, science, and they approve. So I'm happy for that. Okay, we need to get to 44.47.37. Oh, whoops. No, don't worry, nothing happened. I just didn't want to overshoot it. 4, 3, there we go. A little more. 3, 7. Almost there. There we go, perfect. Okay, engage, launching in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition, start. That could have been one of the issues. Let's change that to 10. Just for this rocket, it is the most fuel efficient to get rid of most of the thicker atmosphere and then perform the gravity turn. There we go. That's exactly. Just slight clearance. If I did a gravity turn any earlier, then it would have collided with the sides. And it wouldn't have done anything, it just would have hit this rocket off to slightly towards the 45-degree angle towards north, just that way. And it caused the inclination to go berserk, and it was really hard to get back under control because there's no vectoring. It's using the torque from here. Like I said, I've only put what was needed. Trying to stay as cost effective and as efficient as possible. Yeah. So the reason why I really like the idea of probes is because yay, outer atmospheres, because probes, I don't have to worry so hard about returning. I can literally just replace all of this with one probe, solar panel, sensory equipment and communications, and it'll just make life easier. So much easier. I'll probably send more eventually, but I think they're also changing the physics a lot. Okay, cool, we are now coasting to the apoapsis. Well, we're about to. And the last tank of fuel is to circularize our orbit only. Anyway, so it'll make life easier because then I don't have to think about returning probes. And because it's a small probe, you can attach solar panels and all sorts of things, and then apparently they're also adding shrouds and fairings to make it so that when you're designing, you can design a really eccentric piece of equipment, of course symmetrical, but not necessarily aerodynamic, and then surrounded with a shroud or a fairing, and then not have to worry about the aerodynamics, which is excellent. I really prefer that. Okay, this is a hot burn sequence, meaning if it doesn't fully circularize, it ignites as it decouples. Hot burn stage. I think the Soyuz rocket also has a similar system. So it doesn't slow down at all, it just keeps going. The ignition sequence starts just before the launch stage separates. Very efficient. There we go. Fuel to spare. Get rid of that. Prograde. I'm going to do a bit of a spin-off, just so I can get rid of that. That's what I like to do a lot. There we go. Prograde. Just some clearance. Excellent. So we're going to aim for 152 degrees the beginning of our transfer burn. See, they're going to be adding similar things to this. Actually, it's going to be easier than MechJeb to get from Kerbal to Duna, because you'll be able to select any point along the orbit. It gives you options of what your future orbit from that point onwards you want, basically. I don't know if that makes sense. And then you just kind of extend your wanted orbit outward, and then basically you just do trial and error, and you just move around here, extend lower until you get an intercept. Really easy. It's mindless actually, but the difficult part is it gives you the amount of delta V that's required, and then it gives you the time until burn, and then duration, even a little bar, and then by the time you're done you should have completed that orbit. You should have reached that orbit if you've done it correctly, that is. That's the hard part, doing it correctly. If you follow the instructions, then it's fine. And then you have to make some kind of like, for example, if it's a low thrust like this, the atomic rocket motor, very good for transfers but not very good at getting from one speed to another quickly, you must do a burn before the estimated time to burn, so that you anticipate perhaps the fact that this is a lower thrust, because I'm not too sure it takes into account your thrust to weight ratio. I think it just tells you, it just has to assume that the thrust weight ratio is what? The standard 2? Which it isn't. I'm gonna get a screensaver. The screensaver will be around Duna. The screen, the thumbnail. Right, so let's just fast forward a bit just so we can get a bit closer to 150. Whoa, okay, that's right where we want to. Okay, we'll initiate the burn as soon as it reaches 150 now. Can you see what I mean? Cool, so I'll be right back as soon as we reach the next event. Okay, cool, we're about to reach the event when we escape the sphere of influence of Kerbal. There we go. And the intercept will be around here somewhere, or around this area, if I did it right. We'll slow down as soon as it reaches, because the idea is you're supposed to go slightly above the altitude of Duna in relation to Kerbal, the sun basically. And actually the intercept was a lot earlier than I thought it was. It's not giving me any info though. There must be a bug somewhere. I'm just gonna quick save and fast forward. Okay, well it turns out the intercept was a lot earlier. I thought it was going to be a lot later. There we go. So let's see how this one ended up as. Okay, we need to do a prograde to, I'm going to see if that lowers the peri key, the periapse. Just so I burn, if I burn a tiny amount of fuel now for a really big effect in the end, it's better. As much as I can. Okay, stop, come on, give me the reading. Okay, there we go. Whoops. Okay, that didn't work. And we've just got over half a fuel tank left, and my estimated amount is that we'll have around a quarter behind when we've established an orbit, because you're going to be performing an aero brake. Yes, an aero brake. Fancy. Instead of a retro burn. Like I said, I'm trying to take advantage of as much things as possible. I want to do an air brake now where it's still possible, because in the future they might add heat simulation, so when that makes air braking a little bit more challenging. At least they'll add heat shielding. See, I'm burning really little fuel now, and it'll thank me later. Okay, we are increasing. Okay, let's go to the radial. I found that this helped a lot in reducing my periapsis, my secondary periapsis. So that's the secondary, tertiary. I don't know where my primary is. Primary. I probably can't reach the primary because it's of the intercept. Nope, that's increasing. That doesn't help at all. Unless it's the north and south. It depends on my inclination. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what effect this has. The ion engine will make this a lot easier. Okay. It's having an effect, but nothing to write home about. I'm not... Let's have a look at the relative inclination. Oh yeah, if I burn north, it'll lower the inclination, so that'll probably get us a lot closer to... Yep, it does indeed. Not very quickly though, so... But it does get us closer. It's really hard to tell where the periapsis is, its inclination. Okay, so we are about the distance of the moon in relation to Kerbal. Yeah, this is helping a lot. It'll probably change a bit later on. I'm doing this manually. The only thing I'm using is the smart SAS. Yeah, it's reducing. Okay, now it starts to get hectic now. The final inclination is really big and is bugging out a bit. So I think I'll stop it around when you get to the 60 mark. Oh, that's the turnover point. Okay. I'll speed up this footage for you. Okay, cool. So we're about to reach our new event, and the periapsis is really, really good. And I'm wondering if I go pro grade, does it change? Let's not risk it. Anyway, so for my to establish an orbit, I'm going to do an aero brake. Basically, that's taking advantage of the fact that there's an atmosphere that increases exponentially. Completely, the majority made up of CO2. So it's quite dense. It gets really dense quite quickly towards the lower part of the atmosphere, if they've actually simulated CO2 density instead of just general atmospheric density. Excellent. Now this point is tricky because I actually don't really like it there. I want to make it a bit higher, because if you slightly overdo it and the altitude is too little, it just creates so much drag that you'll end up landing instead of lowering or establishing an orbit. The inclination is nothing to be worried about. I'll have enough fuel to choose where I want to land, you see. Hopefully. Okay. I really don't like how this is working. I would prefer to do this myself, but won't be that much different to make Jeb. Keeps fluctuating, so as soon as, because of the SAS, the torque, the orbit fluctuates. So as soon as it goes over the 13 kilometers, oh, there we go. It cuts off, even though that's not its final orbit. Anyway, reach for prograde. Get rid of those. And let's hope this worked. You can see Duna right there. Rendering lag. And we're about to hit the atmosphere. We're going to land in one of these more interesting craters. The one that faces Ike. There's a crater that somewhere around here that directly faces Ike. Let me have a look from Ike's point of view. Okay, so it's around this point here. So that whenever you look up, you see Ike, and it never sets. So that's pretty cool. It's tidal locked too, so one face of Ike constantly faces this point here. Very cool. We've hit the atmosphere, but it's still really thin, so it won't be doing much of anything. Coming in at apparently a very steep angle. So I'm wondering if this will even have an effect. Did you see that arrow there? It was like a black band. Kind of. Anyway. I must really thank the developers for this game. They've really done a good job. It's a beautiful game. At this stage of development as well, it's really, really good. Okay, so now you're going to start seeing some effects. But if it doesn't fully establish an orbit, it's still high enough so that the specific impulse doesn't decrease too much. So even if I do perform a retro burn, the lower impulse is outweighed by the fact that I have both the atmosphere and the thrust to account for. So it'll still be more efficient. Not as efficient as I would want it to be, but you know. See that 10 kilometer mark, which is it's just the deadline. Even on Kerbal, I only start my gravity burn at around 10 Ks. because that's when the atmosphere suddenly starts getting thick. Yep, I've established it, and it might be... yeah, I'm gonna have to do some prograde burns. But this is good. This is good. Rather have it establish an orbit and the orbit gets too low than go for an escape trajectory. We're so low we can even start seeing the rocks. It's not ideal. I'll wait for it to get around 60 and then I'll have to start performing prograde burns. They'll still be efficient because now we're climbing, so we might have to think about it soon. 6, 5 burn prograde. Cut off. Prograde again. So it's still 1.5 liters a second. Cut off. Come on, get out of the atmosphere, please. We're not getting out of the atmosphere very quickly. So I'm just gonna do that too. Yeah. I told you we'll have about a quarter fuel left. There we go. Now we let that coast. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That worked out well. Okay then. This is finding that optimum sweet spot where you don't have to do any burns and it kind of just gets you right into the margin where you want to set yourself at. So I want my orbit to be around 65 kilometers up because the angle of entry is very shallow, so aerobraking is definitely something to use to my advantage, but it's not too shallow where I just kind of skip off and just do what I did now, basically. Just lower my orbit. It's not too steep where I come in at such a speed that parachutes don't help and tear my craft apart. So yeah, same mistake that Kurt made when he made his first couple landings, is that he entered at too much of a steep angle where aerobraking was inefficient. He approached too much density for too much. Yeah, didn't work. Going to lower this. No, not that. This is buggy. I can't do that, so I don't know why. It's just the way it is. No, not M. Oh dear. And that should do it. Still going to change. Yep. So 66 then. Huh, I confused it now. Just getting comfortable. Oof, this is intense mentally. Just speed it up. No. Okay, slow, slow. There we go. It's a good number, 66, so... We high enough to speed warp? Nope, of course not. We'll just keep going prograde. They really did a good job in yeah, anyway, so let's do this screenshot here. There we go. Need to do a fraps one too. It's very pretty, that, I must say. You really did a good job with the colors, reflection. I mean, even when we go in the atmosphere, the bottom part of this craft turns red. It's really, really cool. And they did very good with the galaxy. It's really nice. So there's a few mesh errors here and there. Like, see that line there? If you're watching this in 1080p, you might be able to see it. Kind of looks like it didn't stitch together well, like it has a corner. Not very cool, but nothing major. But this transition between light and dark right here, and a rainbow effect, is really well done. There's Ike. Yeah, we're high enough now. Now I want to try get this similar to a real life scenario. Because it's an atomic rocket, it is radioactive, and it has radioactive exhaust. In space it's fine, because the particles just wind up in the orbit, because thanks to conservation of momentum, it is going the same speed, opposite to what the rocket is, blah blah blah. So I added these retro burners to put it back into orbit, so it never crashes into Mars. You might think that's pretty useless, because they haven't they've never added such a system to the game yet to simulate radioactivity. But so what? It's all in the spirit. So I want to find this landlocked. Okay. I wonder, is it a... Apparently there's a Easter egg. There's a pyramid that faces the faces Ike, and that if you stand on that pyramid, you get a code, and if you put that code through some sort of deciphering program, picture vectoring, whatever program, it paints a picture of a Kerbal standing on top of a pyramid. Apparently it's in the North and South Pole. I've already went there, no luck really, and they wouldn't really face Ike, so I don't even know if that's possible. So I figured it would be maybe around here, if it's true. Maybe at this peak here. It looks like a very tall mountain. I would need a mapsat plugin to determine how tall it is, but it has a rather vicious point. I don't plan to use any other plugins other than MakeJeb, and even MakeJeb is kind of kind of cheating in many people's views, but oh well. Okay. Decoupling of the interplanetary achiever assembly event happening in 3, 2, 1. Bang. Excellent. So you'll see now, hopefully, this is now in an orbit. See? And the reason why anyone that would be using a radioactive thrusting system would only ever use it in space, because if you do it on a planet, especially with an atmosphere, that radioactivity could interfere with measurements, data, anything that's been collected from the planet. Kind of like that carbon-14 dating. Apparently they cannot use that anymore because when they blew up the nukes in Japan, Hiroshima, whatever, Big Fat Boy and Little Man or something like that, those nukes, the radioactivity levels in the atmosphere spiked at that point and rendered carbon-14 dating inaccurate, completely inaccurate, because it did something to alter the half-life of the carbon-14 atom. But that's just what I heard. It's anecdotal, so it may not be true. It may be true. It makes sense to me that something like that could alter anything. But the fact that it's something that does release some kind of radioactive signature would definitely interfere with instruments, communications, anything. Even the radioactivity of the rock that you're sampling. Like Curiosity, when they found that plastic, that slight little contamination caused havoc, because they didn't know what it was, until they eventually found that it was indeed a piece of plastic. But they're kind of skeptical of where it came from. We do know it probably came from the landing assist module thing, because Curiosity was attached to a wire which was attached to a landing system, some landing assembly. I don't know what it's properly called, but that might have had a piece of plastic from a shroud or something that tore off and lodged itself somewhere and then dislodged. No big deal, but something that small caused problems. Anyway, so now we've hit the atmosphere once again. I'm now going to angle myself correctly. I'm going to face myself upwards like so. And then mark. Gonna land around there. See Ike. As soon as the parachute deploys, I will lower my landing legs, and then we have then reached the landing phase. Yay! Mars landing! Yay! And then McJeb can go collect some rocks. And takes antidepressants because he's been in this tiny little claustrophobic capsule for 68 days. And he'll be there for a lot longer too. Gathering rocks and samples for Kerbal scientists. Deployed as an open. I At first, with the first versions, the IMP v3 improved versions of this design, well, this is the improved of the improved, but the improved of the beta designs, my first designs, would only use a single parachute, and they worked, but they would always bounce, and there was a probability, nothing would break, but there was a probability of tipping over. RCS was useless. The weight of the RCS kind of, yeah, didn't work. It didn't slow down at all, actually. It just, the weight of the RCS thrusters and the RCS fuel kind of outweighed the effect, the amount of force they exerted, so it ended up being at the same speed as before. But it was worse because of the weight in the long run. Forgive me for my really bad terminology. I can type them out, but I can't really put them into sentences. It's just bad. And major touchdown event happening soon. Not lag. It's a bad time right now. And come on, touchdown. Sweet. Right. First mission is to get to that rock. There's no need for ladders. Whoops. Well, Jeb, that's how you can tell this is Kerbal Space Program. You fall out of your capsule and not a single damn was given. Let's quickly make some observations. Turns out the texture is just a texture. Doesn't mean anything. There's no dune. It's just painting. Odd, isn't it, Jeb? It's like this is man-made. It's like you're in a program. Don't worry, just take your antidepressants. You'll be okay. Wow, they've added a lot of detail. Sorry, Jeb, I'm only noticing this now. Okay, there is Ike. Let's go to that rock. Come on, run. We'll find out what the rock is made out of. Determine its composition. Put it through a spectrometer. See what it comes out with. Find out if it contains rust because it's red. Iron oxide, rust, red. We can do it, Jev. Actually, I like that a lot more. It's like a first person point of view. How far are we, Jeb? Not far. Don't worry, there won't be any kind of sandstorm just yet. And I'm pretty sure you'll survive if there is. Your biggest worry is accidentally falling through the world. By going through some collision mesh by accident. They didn't prove that though, which is great. Thank you, developers. Right, this rock looked a lot smaller from down there. Okay, Jeb, let's find out what it's made of. Okay, first thing, right, it's 18 degrees. Minus 116 degrees. Celsius, that is. 18 degrees. Minus triple digit. 18 degrees again. And it's like that, surprisingly. As soon as you go into the shadow, you freeze. Right, let's find out what this is made of. Random freeze again. And... oh, what do you know? Jeb? Jeb, where are you? Jeb. I can see you. What are we gonna do? And it's a Jeb statue. Anyway, let's fly back. Boing. Keeping an eye on the fuel, of course. We only need like 5% to get back in there anyway. Cool, so we've collected our first samples and we got none because it doesn't, that rock technically doesn't exist. It's an illusion, Jeb. You should be taking your antidepressants. Stopping in style. Sweet. Let's find the entrance. And it is over there. Oh, what do you know? It's minus 116 degrees again. Boing. I'm just randomly making up numbers. Just don't hold me on to do real life temperatures. But I do know that they drastically decrease as soon as you go into an atmosphere. I mean, into a shadow. God, wording. Anyway, so successful landing, successful Duna walk. We've went to a imaginary rock, an imaginary monolith, and he will now take some more antidepressants. It's fine, he has a high metabolism, he won't overdose, don't worry about it. He's got 5 years supply of antidepressants. He gets food by standing in the sun and absorbing its rays because his skin is green. It contains chlorophyll. He's half plant, so he'll survive. He can convert his own urine into fuel, so it's okay. He will be quite fine. His body is made out of jelly, so he can survive 15 plus Gs, not a problem. Not a problem. He's constantly happy, so it's okay. Yeah, see, you're taking those antidepressants. That's good. Alrighty. Mission success. In the next mission, let me do this quickly. Random freeze lag again. Need to find out what that is. Right. There we go. In our next mission, we will get back to Kerbal. Hee, that was a lot, that's exciting. Oh my god. The confidence, the ego. Over 9,000. Oh, another observation. Doesn't exactly match. Interesting. Okay, bye.